there everyone, and welcome back to Richard's Toy Room. Today's video is the review of this vintage AMT ertl 1936 Ford Coupe, and then we will also be building the kit. I've had this kit for a while. I think I got this at a flea market. It's dated 2002. So I don't know how many releases, if any, they've had of this kit since this, but I'm sure this isn't the first. And there you've seen the box. Now here's the instruction sheet. This is a fold-out instruction sheet with two sides. Boy, it doesn't look like there's a whole lot to this. This seems like a maybe like a 70s looking construction sheet to me. As you can see, there's not too much out of the ordinary here. You got your engine, your interior, your tires and wheels, your suspension, putting your chassis together, putting your interior and body. It's got a rumble seat that opens. And this also is a little interesting in the way that the body goes together. I don't see too many kits like this. I think I had one that was similar to this. Was a tester's kit of the 40, well, you could build a 46, 47, or 48 Ford out of this tester's kit I had back in the 70s, early 80s, somewhere around there. And it had a top that attached like that. And yeah, nothing out of the ordinary here. Looks like it'd be a simple kit to do. It's not really a lot of chrome on it, so there won't be a lot of after painting detailing to do. Just have to choose your color and go at it. So let's take a look at some of the parts that come in the kit. I've taken the opportunity beforehand to debag most of these parts. I had some complaints in the comments that showing them in the bags was too crinkly sounding. So, and I agree. I watch all the videos that I make, and I usually try to watch them before I post them, so that in case there's some really egregious mistakes in them that I can correct them and before anyone else sees them. But I do watch them on YouTube on my television, so I can get an idea what everybody else is watching. So anyway, here's all your chrome pieces. About an average amount. It looks like a lot of them are probably custom parts, so won't be using quite so many of these. He's got these like kind of 90s looking rims here. Those would look good on something else, but definitely wouldn't put them on this. And you got your rubber wheels and metal axles. They're Firestone branded tires. They're a soft vinyl. They're not hollow, but they give. Your typical AMT tires. At least they're not no brand, but I wish they had the white walls painted on them. I kind of dread doing that, especially after they started doing the pad printing. It's kind of spoiled. You get kind of spoiled. So now they give you, for some reason, two sets of glass here. I'm not sure why. I don't know if it's a mistake or if there's some kind of custom parts in here to do to this. I didn't see anything in the instructions about that, so I guess we'll have to see. But they don't look identical. Well, let's get some, well, I was gonna say white parts, but they're more of a light gray. Oops, there's a loose piece in there. Oh, I see. Now I see why they give you different windows. Get to that shortly. So here's all your main parts. This looks like mostly wheels and stuff. Got your steering wheel. Don't know what that large piece is there. Some roll cage parts here. Here they give you two different engines. I doubt if they give you enough to build a whole separate engine, but that remains to be seen. There's definitely, actually those don't look very different. It looks like maybe one's an automatic transmission and one's a standard. Because it almost looks like this, well, I was going to say it looks like the same engine, but they are slightly different. Whereas like this one has, looks like it has the exhaust manifolds already molded in, and here are some exhaust manifolds, I'm assuming, for this engine. So I don't know, it's interesting. Here you got most of your suspension parts. Got the hood, part of the hood. Taillights, looks like carburetors maybe. Some bumper attachments. Here's your heads, flat heads. Maybe a steering column. These look like custom exhaust parts here possibly. And you got some wheel parts, and this looks like maybe a custom steering wheel, or maybe the other one was. I wasn't paying that close attention. Here you got your chassis frame, some suspension parts. Those look very similar. I wonder if one might be a lowered suspension or something. Now here you got two different hood options though. You got with or without the louvers. So that's got to be like a custom option thing. And then here's your Continental spare. Two parts for that. This little part that fell off looks like either a battery tray or maybe a step for the running board. I don't know. Oh, but the other thing I was going to say, it gives you a convertible top, a cabriolet top here, so that's probably the option, but I didn't see a window frame. Unless it's in the chrome here. It wasn't. No? Well, that's interesting. Here's a custom grille. Here's your rumble seat and your front seat. Your interior. Average detail in there. For some reason it looks small. I don't know why, but 1/25th scale would look smaller than previous models that I've done. I'm going to have to look at the instructions again and see about this cabriolet top. Maybe they have you cutting the cowl off or something. I'm not sure. Here's the the running boards and the fenders. And then your body. And here's the top I was mentioning, where it glues on top like that, which is kind of different than most kits. That's going to take some engineering to get that to sit on there and not look out of place. I mean, I'd almost want to glue that on there before I even paint the body. and fill those seams in, because otherwise that's going to be quite the feat to get that in there right. I think I can do that. I'll have to test fit some parts and see. But I'm curious on the convertible top. I wonder if that was just a parts from another kit and they just never deleted it. Let's look at the instructions since I mentioned it. I didn't notice it. Nothing here. Yeah, no, it doesn't even show it in the instructions, so that's very odd. It doesn't even show like any of the custom parts in the instructions, like the custom grill and stuff like that. That's interesting. Now, I have had kits like this before where there was a separate set of instructions to do the custom build. But this doesn't even say it's like a 3-in-1 or 2-in-1, or doesn't even mention, doesn't show any pictures. That's interesting. It must be parts that they forgot to delete when they re-released this kit. I bet you this is just a cheaper release of the kit. They probably before had all these other options you could do to it. So anyway, last thing in the kit are these decals, which are really hard to see because they're all white. Basically, they look like racing decals. They say like Highlander Bar and Grill and Dyno Cool Driven, Best Food in Town, and then there's like a big 36. You might be able to see that, and a couple license plates. So I'll probably use the license plates, and that's about it. So anyhow, I'm sure I'll be building it as this hard top, like it shows on the box. So next thing will be to get this thing trimmed and separated, and all the parts get to fit right and get to paint. So we'll have an update at some point, so stay tuned. Alright, so I thought I'd do a quick update on this before we go into the final assembly and the final reveal. I want to go over the issues that I've had with the kit so far, and if there's any issues from this point forward, I'll mention it in the next segment. So here's where we sit so far. Everything's painted except I got to do the roof black on this. This is all ready to go. It's just I'm letting it sit for a day or two to so I don't leave any imprints in the paint. It didn't come out too bad. I mean, I've had worse, but it's acceptable. This part, I just got a part sitting on here. This is the rumble seat and the interior. Oh, you can get it. No, you can't. Kind of get a look at the interior there. Obviously the steering wheel's not in there yet. The column has to go into the down to the suspension, so, or the steering. So that's going to be a kind of a puzzle to put together. These are not glued on either. Oh, and I have to paint the running boards on this part as well. So basically the chassis is done and it rolls. First one in a while, but this has metal axles. I did not do anything on the bottom yet. I'll probably go in there real quick and hit the exhaust and the gas tank. But I just put this on the chassis just to set it out of the way to dry. I mean, not dry, to cure. That's why it was just sitting like that. So let's see what's left. There's not much left. I mean, it's just pretty much detailing and assembly, or detailing and final assembly. And they got me all this glass here. I don't know which ones are which yet. I'm thinking it's the ones in here, but I really don't know because all these parts are so messed up. I built the second engine and I made a stand for it like I did in the last video. It looks like it's the same, roughly the same flathead motor, just with a bunch of extra stuff on it. This one came out pretty nice. I did the intake manifold in red just to kind of stand out on it. But it'll be a nice little display one to put in the automotive kit. I did figure out what that one part was for. It's a trophy stand. It's not in the manual. I just happened to figure out, I was looking and I was like, wait a minute, where's this trophy go? It's got this big plug on the bottom. Oh, it goes to that giant part that doesn't look like it fit on a car, which it doesn't. What else? So let me go over the issues that I've had. This has got to be a really old mold for this kit. There's a lot of detail loss, like they've been used quite a long time, and they're getting a little tired, especially things like the headlights, the glass. Usually there you have like that, I don't know what you'd call it, the impression, the little lines that are in like the lens for the headlight glass, and they're like so faint you could barely even tell there's any lines on them. Things like that. All those extra parts. I got this bag full of all these extra parts, which I don't have an issue with because I have lots of kits that have extra parts. The thing is, these don't exist according to the instructions. So what they must have done was, I'm guessing that this was like a 3-in-1 kit or something like that when it first came out, 2-in-1, 3-in-1. And over the years they decided for some reason to turn it into just like a I don't know, a bare bones kit or something, cost cutter kit, which doesn't make sense because they gave you all the parts, so how is that cutting costs? And then they redid the instructions and left all that hot rod stuff out, or roadster, or like I said, unless maybe the instruction sheet was separate and just it was missing from my kit, because I believe I bought this as a open box, if I'm not mistaken. I think I got it at a flea market or something. Another issue I had was the tires. The wheels didn't want to fit very easily into the tires. I had to do a lot of trimming inside the actual tire itself, like the inner hole. I couldn't push the rims in, so I had to keep trimming and trimming until I could finally push those rims in. The engine on this, I mean both engines as a matter of fact, very low part count on them. I mean, I think there was like maybe a total of 9 or 10 parts for the whole engine. Used to having a lot more. I mean, they didn't even have separate manifolds or starter or anything on this kit. So that was a little, you know, I mean, it still has quite a bit of detail, but just for some reason, just, you know, just seems kind of chintzy because it doesn't seem like they had enough parts in it. These I was trying to figure out what the heck they were. I thought maybe they're something custom. Well, it turns out what they are actually is these are the retainers that hold this interior bucket to the body inside. There's pins, and these fit perfectly on those pins, and these hold the back of the interior bucket in. Not even shown or mentioned in the instructions at all. Speaking of the instructions, they don't have any instruction steps. So I mean, you could, like, for example, and one here it has you putting in like the radiator and the engine and the steering column, but it doesn't tell you which one you got to put in first, or if it doesn't matter, because sometimes when you do that, like, you can't get the other part in because it's in the way. So I mean, I guess some of it's just common sense, but I mean, it'd be nice if they, you know, went as far as to do that. And the last thing that I really didn't care for in this kit, and I think the reason why it was built like that was because they gave you like those parts to build it like a roadster and like a convertible, was this top part of the body, the cab here, was a separate piece that had to be glued on, and that was not fun to get on. And so I decided to put it on and then paint the kit, because I knew it would be a nightmare to get that thing on. And it took a lot of fitment to trimming and sanding and stuff. Plus, I think it fits a lot better with when you get the glue seam and all that, and then it looks like it was all one piece to begin with. The only thing it'll be a little issue with is getting in here and doing the windows, which is not going to be a big problem, but it'll just be a little harder because you have to reach up inside the body, and then also putting the steering wheel and interior and stuff on, because it's all kind of like a little puzzle at that point to put together, but it's not impossible. I think that's about it. So now it's just a matter of like letting this paint sit for a couple of days, or maybe tomorrow I can get going on it and start just doing that final detailing, getting those running boards and that canvas top done, and popping everything together. And next you see it, in all likelihood, will be the final reveal. So thanks for watching and stay tuned. Okay, and before I forget, here's a quickie rundown of the paints used on this 36 Ford. I used most of them are the Rust-Oleum paints. That's what I tend to gravitate towards. When you see some other brand of paint here, it's usually because it's something that I've bought in the past and I'm just trying to get rid of. So I used the flat white primer on pretty much everything. I did the dashboard and the steering wheel in this gray. That's what it said in the information I looked up. Gloss black, of course, for wherever you needed gloss black. I found this old can. I don't even know how old this stuff is. It's this like spruce green, like satin enamel, and I used this to paint the engine blocks. Unfortunately, it's such crappy paint that I couldn't even get it to come out of the nozzle very well, so I just used like something that would make it come out full force. So I almost like soaked those things. I had to like spray it from really far away so it didn't look like I was dipping it. So I'll probably end up just tossing this can because it's really not any good. Trying to get rid of this old silver paint here, and so I can buy a new can, using that up. On the custom engine, I did paint the manifold, this, what the hell does that say? Oh, upside down. Fire red, Model Master, just leftover paint, just trying to get rid of it. The seats, I bought this Rust-Oleum. This is called a satin dark brown. Try to make them look kind of like leather. Funny thing was, it didn't really dry satiny. It dried almost glossy, but that was okay because I was going to shine them up anyway. So it worked out. I'm not sure why it's called satin when it doesn't come out satin on the finish. And the satin smoky beige I used for the interior of the car, like the headliner and the door panels and stuff like that. That's a satin. And for the body, I used this almond gloss paint. I was trying to get something as close as I could to what they called a, now I can't remember the exact color, but it's kind of like a grayish tan. It's like a popular 30s Ford color. And I don't really want to pay like outrageous sums through the nose to get custom small cans of spray paint, 8-ounce cans of spray paint mixed up for like $25 when I could buy a can of this for less than $5. So I'm okay if the color's close. I'm not going to any shows or trying to win any awards. So, and then I used both of these flat blacks. I used this flat black that I'm trying to use up, this old paint, on parts like the chassis and stuff. But I used this nice newer can of Rust-Oleum flat black to do the that canvas top on the roof, because I didn't know how this paint would work, being that it was pretty old. And I had this out for some reason, this blue, but I don't remember using it on this car anywhere. So I'm not sure why I had it out here if I used it on something else. But I just could have, maybe can't think of it at the time, but either way, those are all the paints I used on this model. I mean, besides things like the chrome pens and some craft paints here or there for doing like little touch-ups on things, like like the I used some blue to touch in like the Ford emblems and things like that, but I'm not going to go into all that. So next up's the reveal. And here we are with the final reveal. You may have noticed I finally got one of those spinning turntables. Ooh, how professional. Actually, I love it. It's great. And it's only one speed, but if you click it on, turn it off, it'll turn the other way then. I think it's perfect. I think HPI guy's model workshop for the idea. He does all his reveals on the turntable. I think it makes it look great, and you can see everything that way. So stay tuned. At the end, I will get in just a little closer and do a couple of spins with the turntable on. So let's see. Let's go over the final results. Not a bad kit considering how old this mold likely is. Looks like, based on this trophy that came with it, that it was probably part of AMT's Trophy Series kits of the 60s. It's probably when it was first released. And it actually wasn't too bad. I mean, some of the issues that I wasn't crazy about, most of it probably because due to the age of the design of the kit. The windows were kind of iffy getting in. They didn't really, I mean, they went on fine, but they weren't really like a nice fit. They just kind of covered the holes. And the rumble seat, it was real tight. It's probably because of the coats of paint on it, but after I put it in and moved it a few times, it probably rubbed a couple of spots where it was high, and it works great now. The biggest issue I had, and I'd almost say that it's the worst part of this kit, and it was also obviously pretty much like the last part to put on, was the hood. You can probably see there's a gap here in the front along top of the grille. It was very poor engineering the way that they designed this body to go together with all those multiple pieces. And let me stop this when it comes around here so I can give you a better idea. Right here, this piece where the gap is between the hood and the body is a separate part that went in there on the front behind the grille. And I thought I had it put, I test fitted everything multiple times and, trim as I need to. I thought I had it exactly right. It's pretty close, but that's as far down as the hood will go. And there's still that gap there, and it's really, really tight. In fact, I probably don't even know if I'm going to take it off to show you the engine bay area, because it's just really a pain to get it back on there. But the rumble seat's pretty cool. It works. I don't want to roll it off of here. It shuts up real nice, and it fits pretty good. Overall, for the issues that the kit has, I still liked it. It was a fun kit to build. Definitely not the worst kit I've ever built. But I had a few issues with my, doing some trim by hand where my hands just kind of get that little bit of, shakiness when you're trying to do the fine details. But besides that, I mean, that's just me. That's not the kit itself. The hood is definitely, for me, was the worst part. I mean, I probably, if I wouldn't have had it all painted up and everything, I might actually I might take it off there and maybe trim it and file it a little bit, and maybe I could get that to fit perfect. Maybe even like add a little bit to the top of these posts or something like that. Just something to get that hood to fit perfect. But at this point, I really don't want to repaint it and everything. It looks fine. Sitting on a shelf. I'm not like entering in a a model show or anything like that. So it's good enough for me, and I'm happy with it the way it is. So that's really all that matters. But see, you want a trophy, so it can't be that bad. So here's the spare engine on the stand I made, as I mentioned earlier. That's pretty cool. I'm going to do that for all the all the models that come with spare engines and no stands, I'll just keep making my own like that. It's kind of fun. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. Stay tuned for a quick 3D rotating view up a little closer, and thanks for watching.